Hello and welcome to another bad review. Today we are looking at Alterna Comics Mother Russia Issue 1. This is a three-part miniseries. Came out in 2017 by Alterna Comics in association with Fubar Press. This is written and art by Jeff McComsey. And if the cover looks familiar, it's because it's a send-up of G.I. Joe Issue 21 from Marvel Comics, a classic silent issue. Well, this book is pretty similar. It's nearly silent, in my opinion. There's very little sound effects or noise or talking, but it is an amazing issue. It really kind of takes the medium of comics and puts it to full use. The talking is minimalist, unlike modern comics that do a lot of talking and say nothing. This has the exact opposite, where there's very little talking, but every word matters to the situation and is relevant. We start off in the fall of 1943 in Stalingrad, and World War I has come to an end because there's a zombie apocalypse. Guns have gone silent, more or less, and then we get a pop from a church tower, or a bell tower of some kind. Looks like a church tower. And some zombies go down. This lady's taking them out one by one. And she's been there a long time taking out these zombies. She's got a bunch of supplies up in this bell tower, and she seems to just kind of pass the time. And then one day she goes to shoot some more zombies and sees a little kid wandering around out there. This is a toddler, probably 2 or 3, drops its bunny and starts crying. And she's like, ah, nuts. So our sniper has to go and save the kid. It's really dynamic action with barely any words. And as soon as she gets the kid, she can't go back to the bell tower, so she's on the run, and they're getting swarmed by a horde. She's about to kill the poor kid, and then herself most likely to save it from being a zombie and being torn apart. It's a very powerful scene. And then suddenly a dog comes out of nowhere along with another guy, and they save them, and they get running. And she says, there's some great chase sequence. She's like, that's an interesting accent you have there, comrade. And he's like, I know who you are. Svetlana Gorskov, Mother Russia. That's where the title comes from. It's her nickname that the Germans gave her because she's such a deadly sniper. So it ends there with kind of a showdown. She's pointed her gun at him. The dog's standing there with his tongue hanging out. Should be a movie. The first issue was this is the first comic I've read by Alterna, and I'm going to go out and buy every book they have out so far that I can find, because this was amazing. It's on newsprint, so if you're an old-time collector, it'll be very familiar to you, and it's in black and white. But the art is very reminiscent of Walking Dead, back when Walking Dead was a worth reading comic because stuff actually occurred and wasn't just boring tripe. And it's got all the action you'd want out of an action film. This is amazing. This is a fantastic comic, and it's sure to be a classic, and I would be shocked and appalled if this is not made into a movie. The zombie thing is played out. Nobody really cares about that anymore. This book is worth picking up. It's got $1.50 cover price. I ordered issues 2 and 3 through Alterna's Etsy store. I'll link Alterna's page in the description if I remember, and I highly recommend picking this up. This is a great book. It's supposed to be reprinted in a trade paperback. I'll probably pick that up too to give as gifts to people, or I'll keep that and give the issues away. But this book is really worth picking up, and all 3 covers are takeoffs or homages to G.I. Joe covers. But yeah, this is a fantastic book. I highly recommend it. Stop listening to me, go order this book and enjoy, especially if you like G.I. Joe type stories or war stories and zombie books. This is just a great action adventure for everyone. So get out there and get yourself a copy. This is a fun book. I highly recommend it. I'm going to review it issue 2 next, and then issue 3, so within 24 hours all 3 of them should be reviewed. We'll see if it holds up. Thanks for listening. Hello and welcome to another bad review. Today we are looking at Mother Russia issue 2. Now I just finished reading this. It's part of a 3-part series from Alterna Comics and Fubar Press. It picks up where we left off during the zombie invasion of 1943 in Stalingrad. Our Russian sniper and her newfound baby boy, our toddler I guess he more accurately is, and we're saved by a Nazi and his dog. Now, we get a lot more backstory in this one as to who the Nazi is. His name is Major Otto Steiner, the 6th Army. I'm not going to try and pronounce German words. And his dog, Brunhilde. Now, it's a real good story. There's not a lot of dialogue, but there doesn't need to be. This one has a lot more talking than the previous issue, and we learn a lot about what happened with Otto and the first incidents they found of what they thought was rabies, and it was really zombies, and radio reports of people burning the dead and don't eat the meat, that sort of thing. And we learn he hasn't eaten in a while, so somebody had stuffed a can of beans in the kid's coat, so the three of them share it, and they're making a plan to get back to her bell tower where there's plenty of food, because Otto doesn't have any food. He's been looking for weeks and barely found anything. Guns, however, he's got that covered. Now, this one sets up a lot of background information, and since I really want you to go get this one, and it's not a real old book, this is from 2017, you should be able to track it down on Alterna's website, their Etsy store, or in trade paperback on Amazon. I highly, highly recommend getting it. It's a great read. It's a little bit of a quick read, but that's because there's a lot going on. It's got really great pacing, and it is on newsprint, so the price on the cover is only $1.50. None of this fancy highbrow stuff that's going to cost you $4 and you're going to gamble on it. I picked up the first issue on a whim, just because I had bought this huge collection of old comics that I'm going to be reviewing, some of which are 40 years old. This, however, is new. It's on that same style of paper, which feeds into the nostalgia. And it was great. It's one of the best books I've read in a long time. As far as new material goes, it's definitely out of the park. I don't know why this isn't option for a movie yet. It's a blast. I hope it ends as well as it's been going, because it is really held up to be one of the better books that I've seen in a long, long time. So if you like zombie books, pick it up. It's better than Walking Dead is right now. If you are sick of zombies, this might invigorate you a little bit, because it's more of a character tale than it is a zombie story, and it's not poorly written. It's very well written. They had a very cohesive vision for what they're doing, and it's obviously carrying over in the 3-story arc. Now, I'm hoping the third issue is as good as this one, and I really like the homage cover to G.I. Joe Special Missions. That was really cool to see, so really hope it ends as well as it's been going. But in the meantime, get a chance, go out and pick this up. This is a great book, and I hope it gets optioned and made into a movie, or at the minimum it's kept in print for a while, because I think a lot of collectors will really like this one. It's a good action adventure story, it's a good zombie story, and it's an interesting war story for that matter. Check it out. It's Mother Russia from Alterna Press from 2017 in association with Fubar Press. And that'll do it for this one. It's a short one, so get out there and look for this, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as I did. Thanks for listening. Hello, and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. I just finished reading Mother Russia issue 3 of a 3-issue limited series from Alterna Comics and Fubar Press from 2017. Now, this has a cover price of $1.50. It's on standard newsprint like the old comics were, so the price point is amazing. And this is definitely worth the $1.50. It's worth more than anything Marvel and DC have been putting out from what I've seen and heard. This one picks up where we left off with the plan to escape the bunker and run out to the bell tower. Our heroes make their break for it and go running. I don't want to ruin too much for you, because I want you to actually go out and get this one. This is definitely worth picking up or ordering from Alterna. Alterna's purchase process online is to get it through their Etsy store, and the shipping is really cheap. I've gotten my books really fast from them. I wish they were sponsoring me. I am a real huge fan of the way they do their business. The shipping is fast and cheap, and the books arrived in pristine shape. And I got a sticker, which was really cool. So this was definitely worth tracking down, and it is just an action-packed issue, more so than the second issue, which was definitely more, middle story. This one really picks up the action, and it's got an amazing ending that I honestly didn't really expect quite so much. It's pretty rough, but it's really cool, and they set it up for a sequel, so I expect there will be a follow-up miniseries. We find out there are some other survivors in Stalingrad at the beginning of winter in 1943, and they're Russians, and they're planning on retaking the city. Obviously, this is going to come into play with the girl, Svetlana, who's known as Mother Russia, where we get the title, and the baby, and all that, and the dog, and this dude. So yeah, overall, fantastic closure to it. I'm looking forward to the sequel. They really set it up well. This author and artist, Jeff McCombsey, has a great handle on story, using the visual telling story medium of comic books, and probably has a pretty good experience with movies as well. But yeah, it was definitely an action-packed issue, and there's not a whole lot of talking, honestly. It's like the first issue. They're very minimalist talking. What's being said is plot-driven and useful and necessary, and it's very true to life, I think. And I thought it was a great story. I really am intrigued by Mother Russia. She seems pretty hardcore and very interesting character. So I'm excited to see if they do release a sequel to this. I'm hoping it's in the next year or so because I really want to check it out, and I plan on buying this and trade as gifts for my friends because it actually held up through all 3 issues. I thought they were going to cheap out on the ending, I really did. But no, it was a solid ending, very well written book, highly recommended. You should be able to still find these around. I don't know what their print run is like, but considering the price point, I don't think they had to have a problem reprinting these. And if not, you can always get the trade paperback, which I highly, highly recommend. Get the trade paperback and support Alterna Press because Alterna Comics is doing some fantastic stuff. I got a whole bunch of their books now, and I'm going to be filtering those in with my DC and Marvel stuff and some of the other random stuff I got in this big purchase. And you know what? This book alone has inspired me to pick up more comic books. So I'm hoping to start doing some more recent stuff, probably on Thursdays and Fridays. Over the course of the next few months, I'm going to be filtering them in until I can make it a regular feature. Unfortunately, I don't have a really good local comic shop near me, so I have to go quite a ways to get some comics. But until I can get some more recent stuff, I'm going to be reviewing the 2017 line from Alterna and some of the other more recent books that I can actually track down. So hopefully we can make it new comics a regular thing on here, but until then, I highly suggest going out and getting Mother Russia. I thought it was a great zombie story, great visual storytelling book, and the art is very similar to Walking Dead. It's not an art style that I generally like, but it really did work here, and obviously this was a labor of love for the creators. So I'm hoping it gets made into a movie. Hopefully it'll have a good sequel. Until then, that'll do it for this one. As always, thanks for watching. Oh, and the cover is an homage to a G.I. Joe cover from Marvel. If you're an old school fan, you'll recognize that. It's just a little bit of trivia for you. But in the meantime, thanks for listening as always, and we hope to see you on the next episode. Welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Mother Russia Winter Special. This is a one-shot from CEX, which is Comics Experience Publishing in 2021. Story and art by Jeff McComsey, with the cover by Jeff McComsey. Now, if you remember, I did review Mother Russia a long time ago when they did a 3-part miniseries from Alterna, and I really liked it, so I was surprised to see this, and I was surprised he switched publishers, but, you know, whatever, I was glad to pick it up. So this is a silent interlude that takes place in Stalingrad, winter 1944. And that's all the words in the book. The sniper lady, it has the kid still, and it's no longer a baby, it's now obviously a toddler, and the dog's still there. So the baby's grown quite a bit, and it doesn't really say how much time has passed, but clearly this is some time later, at least some short time later. And with winter in full effect, the zombies are all frozen, so her and the kid go out to play outside, and that's when they come across some troops. They're not identified as to who these troops are, but these are obviously enemy troops. And they notice some smoke coming from the tower, so they start noticing that. And then when they are about to catch the kid, some biplanes are spotted, and our sniper lady has to grab the kid and run for it. Now, unfortunately, this comes at great expense, but it looks like they're leading in a different direction. Overall, it was a good one-shot. I enjoyed it. I thought the paper quality was good, except the cover is the same as the interior paper, which I was a little disappointed by. It feels a little rushed and cheap, and this did come out late. This actually came out in 2022, but it's dated on the indicia as 2021, and that's because that's when it was supposed to come out. Unfortunately, I think it was one of the victims of the printer shortage that was going on, where a lot of stuff wasn't getting delivered, and there were problems with supply chain issues that hit a lot of the comic industry, as well as just society in general here in the States. So I enjoyed this quite a bit. I thought the art was really good, and I think the artist has actually improved since I read Mother Russia, but it was a really fun story and a bit depressing, but I would absolutely recommend it. It's not really a zombie story, it's more of a slice of life, and it is a good follow-up to the original Mother Russia series. So I'd recommend reading the first 3 issues that comprise the limited series, and then read this, because it was much more interesting that way. You'll have no context if you didn't read that original trilogy. So I would recommend tracking that down very highly. But I thought it was worth the $4. I didn't have a problem with that. It's black and white, like a lot of indie books, but overall solid stuff. Good cover image, which really doesn't apply, but it was well done. And the story was pretty compelling, especially for a silent issue, which those are a mixed bag sometimes. So I had a good time reading it, and I'm going to recommend it. That'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description for different support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.